The water was loud enough to drown out the world, pounding against the tiles like rain on metal. I had locked the door out of habit, the same way you do 100 times without thinking. Steam filled the bathroom, blurring the mirror, turning everything soft and unreal. It should have been the safest place in the house. It wasn't. That's when I heard the handle move. At first, I thought it was my imagination, just the pipes knocking or the old wood shifting. But then the sound came again. Slow, deliberate, the unmistakable click of a lock turning from the outside. My heart slammed against my ribs. Before I could shout, before I could even step back, the door opened. A silhouette appeared through the steam. Calm, still, too calm. Then a voice said, steady and almost casual, "Relax, it's just me." Those words didn't calm me, they froze me. Because no one should have been able to open that door. I grabbed the curtain, pulling it shut like a shield, my mind racing. How did she get in? Why was she here? And why did she sound like she had expected this moment? The steam shifted, and I recognized her. Not a stranger, not a threat in the obvious way. Someone I trusted. Someone who had been quietly watching my life fall apart from the sidelines. She didn't step closer. She didn't look away either. "I'm not here to scare you," she said. "I'm here because you won't listen any other way." That was when I realized this wasn't an accident. This was a confrontation, and whatever she was about to say, she believed it would change everything. Chapter 2, Reveal/Emotional Twist plus Life Lesson. She waited until I wrapped a towel around myself before continuing. Her expression wasn't inappropriate or mocking. It was serious, almost heavy, like someone carrying a truth too big to hold any longer. "You're destroying yourself," she said quietly. I laughed, defensive. "You broke into a locked bathroom to tell me that?" "I broke into your denial," she replied. "The bathroom door was just easier." That's when the truth came out. She knew about the sleepless nights, the debt notices hidden in drawers, the job I was pretending I still had, the smile I wore in front of everyone else while my life quietly collapsed behind closed doors. "I've been watching you drown," she said, "and you keep saying you're fine." The steam cleared. So did my excuses. She explained how the door lock had been broken for weeks, how she had heard me talking to myself, rehearsing lies, convincing no one but me. This wasn't about invasion, it was about intervention. "You needed a moment where you couldn't run," she said, "where you had to face the truth." And she was right. That uncomfortable, shocking moment became the line between who I was pretending to be and who I needed to become. That night changed my life, not because someone walked into the bathroom, but because someone finally walked into my reality. The days after that moment didn't magically become easier. In fact, they became harder because now I was awake. You can survive a long time pretending everything is fine, but once the truth breaks through, there's no going back to sleep. Every excuse I had rehearsed in that bathroom felt empty. Every delay felt dishonest. For the first time in months, I made calls I had been avoiding. I admitted things I had buried. I faced consequences I thought would destroy me, but didn't. Some doors closed. Others cracked open in ways I never expected. What surprised me most wasn't how much help was available. It was how many people had been waiting for me to ask. She checked in quietly, never controlling, never hovering, just present. And that presence mattered more than advice ever could. Whenever doubt crept back in, I remembered her words, "Strength isn't silence." One evening, standing alone in that same bathroom, I looked at the door, the lock repaired, solid, working. And for the first time, I realized something strange. I didn't feel the need to hide there anymore. The place that once felt like an escape had become just another room, because I had stopped running from my life. I had started walking into it, imperfect, scared, but honest. That single interruption didn't fix everything, but it changed the direction of everything. And sometimes, that's enough. Weeks later, life didn't look perfect, but it looked real. The chaos that once lived quietly in my head now had names, plans, and timelines. Problems are terrifying when they're shadows. They become manageable when you turn on the light. I had finally done that point one evening, I found myself standing in the hallway outside that same bathroom. The door was closed. The light inside was off. For a moment, I just stood there, listening to the silence. Not the heavy, suffocating silence I used to carry, but a calm one. A peaceful one that I realized something important. That moment hadn't embarrassed me, that it hadn't weakened me, that it had saved me, that we rarely talk about how close people come to breaking. How many smiles are performances? How many "I'm fine" statements are lies whispered out of fear? I had been one of those people. Invisible in my struggle. Loud in my pretending. Now, I was different. Not fearless. Not flawless. Just honest. I began speaking up. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just enough to let people in. And something unexpected happened. Others started opening up too. Conversations became real. Connections became deeper. The weight I carried alone for so long finally felt shared. One night, she said something quietly as we passed each other in the kitchen. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Not because you're strong, but because you're brave enough to be seen." That was the moment it fully clicked. The real turning point of my life wasn't the interruption. It was what I chose to do after it. Because sometimes the moment that shocks you is the moment that saves you. Months passed, and the memory of that night slowly stopped feeling sharp. It no longer replayed itself with embarrassment or shock. Instead, it became a marker in my life, a clear line between who I was before and who I was becoming. Life didn't slow down. Responsibilities still piled up. Doubts still visited. But they no longer lived inside me unchecked. I had learned something invaluable. Ignoring pain doesn't make you strong. It makes you invisible to yourself. One afternoon, I noticed someone close to me struggling in the same quiet way I once had. The forced smiles. The jokes that came too fast. The long pauses when asked, "Are you okay?" And for the first time, I didn't look away. I sat with them. I listened. I didn't interrupt or fix or judge. I simply stayed. That's when I understood the final lesson of it all. The moment that changed my life wasn't meant to end with me. It was meant to pass through me. What once felt like an uncomfortable intrusion became a gift. One I could now offer others. Presence, honesty, and the courage to speak when silence feels safer. Sometimes, growth doesn't come from motivation. Sometimes, it comes from being seen at the exact moment you're trying to disappear. And if the story proves anything, it's this: the smallest interruption can redirect an entire life.